All Blacks arrived home with heads held high today despite their failure to win a third straight World Cup. Halfback TJ Perenara says while disappointing, the bruised memories of that semi-final loss to England were not front and centre today as they landed at Auckland airport and embraced their family members. Outgoing New Zealand Rugby Union boss Steve Tew arrived on an earlier flight and stayed on to greet the returning players, including Sonny Bill Williams, who has suggested it's time for a Pasifika or Māori All Blacks coach to replace Steve Hansen. Steve Tew told Alex Perrottet that winning 3 in a row was an ambitious goal and it was just a bad time to have a bad game.
I think the guys all have reflected on a very good year, but not the result at the World Cup we wanted. As I've said a bit of late, we were a bit off against England, and you can't afford to be at this level.
And you could just see the following week how England were in the same, so a week's a long time in rugby.
Yeah, and all credit to the Springboks. I thought they had a very, very outstanding final. They weren't the form team even coming into the quarterfinals, frankly, but they got up when it counted, and they played really well in that final, and very deserved winners. And what a great piece of history for the first Black African captain.
Yeah, that was a great story coming out of it.
Yeah.
You know, you've been on these sorts of trips. You were there this time. How are they going to be feeling coming back? Obviously, you know, not carrying the William Webb Ellis Cup. What's the sort of emotions going through them?
Oh, I've been with the boys a bit in the last couple of days as we've said our goodbyes. Look, I think they're disappointed, obviously. I mean, you know, we went up to Japan to win a Rugby World Cup and we have come back without doing so that's a disappointment. But look, they can reflect on a very good campaign, and I think I'm very proud of the way they've carried themselves since that defeat. They got back up, good performance against Wales in that game that really no one wants to play, although our guys did, funnily enough, because it was a test match and a chance to a little bit of redemption and also to say goodbye to some great All Blacks, and they did that in a really good fashion.
Yeah, a really nice free-flowing game it was. A lot of people saying that we've matured as a nation, we're able to handle the loss so much better than we did in '99 and 2007. Good to share the cup around. Bit disappointing not to get 3 in a row, but was it good for World Rugby?
Oh yeah, if I put my World Rugby hat on, I might have a bit more of a smile. But I think for me, what's come around in my own head, is about context. And I think rather than say we're better at dealing with it than we were in '03 and '07, I think probably now we can reflect on just how difficult it was to win in 11 and in 15, and even be in a position to go 3 is a remarkable achievement. And I doubt whether many teams will get that chance. So I think for me, really now, it just reinforces how good this All Black team has been for so long, and how small the margins are, that if you are just a tad off, you lose an important game and that's it. That's sport, otherwise we wouldn't watch it.
So what's your sort of parting words for the job that Steve Hansen's done, as well as all his support crew, assistant coach Ian Foster?
Yeah, look, there's a big crew, isn't there? So, you know, he doesn't like being singled out, but I think, you know, I've said often enough, Steve's been an amazing contributor to our game. I think he's been a great All Black coach, no question. You know, almost 90% winning record over his period of time, and he was a great support for Ted as well. But more importantly, he cares a lot about his athletes. He gets really close to the players, but can make tough decisions when he needs to. And equally, he cares about the game. So, as you know, he's not short of an opinion on what's going on in the world game, and he's certainly been I've known Steve now for 25 years in and around rugby, and he's always thinking and always helping us think through some of the challenges we face. So we'll miss him. I'm hoping I'll certainly keep in touch with him, but it'd be nice to have him involved somehow in the future when we need someone with a slightly different view of the world.
And what's next for you?
Well, we've got to get through this year, so I've been very focused on completing the jobs at hand, and we've got a bit more to do before Christmas, and then I'll take a break, and then I'll start looking in the new year. Either may look at another role, or I may look at more of a portfolio of some board work and maybe some advisory stuff.
Not any World Rugby work?
No, not at the moment. I mean, I'm still on the Rugby World Cup board, so I'll stay involved with that until when they reselect that board in May next year, and I'll probably say I'm available, but that'll be up to the people up there whether I'm the right guy to contribute or not.
Last one on Sonny Bill's comment that we need to look for a Māori or Pasifika coach. What do you reckon? Yeah,
well, I think he said that in the context of the All Black appointment, but we've got a program of work growing the leadership, particularly in our Pasifika and Māori communities, and coaches are a very big part of that. So, there are candidates now that might fit that bill. That's for the panel to decide, then the board. But certainly we're working hard at the community level to grow that level of expertise.
And that was Steve Tew talking to Alex Perrottet at Auckland Airport today.